Then you've got to also communicate to your employees. Because your employees are your best ambassadors to get words out to their family members, the people in their community organizations, the people in their church, so that they are prepared to defend the company as they're raising questions about, gee, how do we do this? In most crisis communications plans, you have about 4 hours to make the right moves. And that's it. Used to be about 48 hours, but before the advocacy of social media, you don't have that time luxury anymore. You get about 30 minutes to assess the situation. You get about 30 minutes to make the requisite notifications. You can sit down with top management and strategize in about an hour. You can deal with the media, the first initial media outreach, in about an hour. Right there, you're at 4 hours. If you don't have a statement out, and if you don't have your ducks in a row in terms of social media in the first 4 hours, you're going to be behind the curve. You're going to be behind the knowledge curve, and you're going to be behind the information curve, because the information flow will rapidly outstrip you. I'm going to pass out what we call the 3-minute drill. And this is courtesy of Jim Lukaszewski from PRSA. And Jesse, you're going to have to get on your feet and do one side, and I'll do the other. And this is the kind of thing we learn when we go to Lukaszewski's PRSA seminar. And Lukaszewski drills you on this, and you're in at the seminars with people from corporate settings, agency settings, a couple of nonprofits, universities. And for 3 days, Lukaszewski presents strategies, and then he gives you scenarios, and as teams you go out and develop answers to the scenarios and do both management planning and corporate communications planning, or crisis communications planning. Lukaszewski has always called this, and Kirk, you probably know Lukaszewski, right?
I've met him, but
Yep.
I don't know very well.
He calls this demonstrate what you know what you're hired for in just 3 minutes. And you think, gosh, how can I do this? You know, I don't do a crisis that often. And I'll be honest, in our practice, we don't do a crisis a day. We maybe do a crisis every month or a crisis every other month. And sometimes they are for existing clients, and sometimes they are for clients that are coming to us as a referral, or as we say, through the door. Sarah worked a crisis from the start. Was it 5 weeks ago when we did the hotel chain? Yeah, like September 1st or something like that. Through a contact, a hotel chain called us and said, our credit card system has been interdicted in some of our properties around the United States. American Express detected it on a Thursday. They shut down their computer system on a Friday. We got the call on like a Tuesday. And they were afraid that all their customers, 77,000 customers, would start having their credit cards used improperly all over the country. It was a very interesting way how American Express found it. The same day a credit card was used in Austin, Texas for a purchase of breakfast or something, $70 or something in one of their hotels. The same credit card was used at almost within the same time frame, a minute or so, to purchase a $4,300 plane ticket in Paris, France. That set off an alarm in American Express. Their fraud guys immediately looked at it, called the hotel first, and they said, well, this credit card holder is a guest in our hotel. And then they walked it up the line and immediately determined that the credit card had been interdicted. The company hired a forensic accounting firm and a unit of Verizon Wireless, which actually specializes in internet security, IT security, to go into their mainframe, and they found that since March 30th, someone had planted malware, M-A-L-W-A-R-E, in their computer system and was systematically stealing every credit card number and every name since March 30th, 70,000 customers. Probably came from Russia, may have come from Kazakhstan or one of the smaller former Soviet republics. And then they were blocking that information and selling it online for like $100 per 10 names, and trying to interdict this credit card, use these credit cards all over the system. Luckily, the credit cards were all American Express, MasterCard, and Visa, and they were able to shut that down. That's a violation of federal law and international law, but the Secret Service was advised they shut down the system as well, and then they started tracking back. I don't think they've ever found who installed the malware. The point is that the customer immediately got a email or got a call from the hotel manager saying that your credit card may have been used improperly. Call your credit card company and we will, they had a Lloyd's of London policy, we will indemnify you for any false charges that went on your credit card. Now for the customer, they all had to get new credit cards, which the credit card company issued them, within the next 48 hours. But it solidified the reputation of the hotel company to say, we really care about our guests and we're not going to let this happen to you. We got the call at 10. Sarah and another employee started doing all the Google searches. We found a couple of local stories. We were in their CEO's conference room at noon. We had statements prepared by 3:30 in the afternoon, and they went out nationwide. And they only got 25 calls of complaint. 25 out of 77,000 customers. That worked great for about 3 weeks, and then under a lot of state laws, you have to notify the credit card customer, the guest, in writing that their card has been interdicted. So when they sent all those notices out, then they really got a lot of calls back. But were prepared for that. We had statements, we had a call center set up, and they were able to salvage their reputation by taking care of their customers. We applied this principle, Lukashevsky's 3-minute principle, in going and sitting down with the CEO. And this is what you really go through. Now, you don't have to do 60 words, and you don't have to do it in a couple of minutes, but you do think about what are the elements. Introduce the topic you're talking about, what the discussion will be about. So the topic may be, what do we do about this food safety outbreak? Analyze the impact, the threat, the opportunity, if there is one, to salvage their reputation, or the potential damage. You've got to think like the CEO, you've got to think like the operations people, you've got to think like the marketing people. What's going to be the threat to this? You talk about what the goals are, and the goals are solve the problem, keep the customer happy, preserve our reputation, be proactive, not just wait for the storm to come barreling over the hill. Give them 3 options. And I have learned that this is really where your counseling skills come into hand. Doing nothing, doing something, or doing something more. In the crisis that we're managing right now for a Denver company, we're in the doing nothing phase because we don't believe that this political campaign that's going to attack this particular company has its act together, and something may not happen between now and November 2nd. You always should have something to do in mind, and in the days of social media, you don't have the luxury of just sitting back. So you need to, at the very least, start monitoring, have statements ready to go, know what's being said out there, and then doing something more. Have a whole range of options. Here's what our strategy is, here's the tactics we're going to use, and here's when we're going to execute them. Then you recommend. They always turn to you and say, well, what do you recommend? I mean, we're hiring you. We're paying a lot of money for your advice. So you have to recommend, okay, we're going to do this in these progressive steps. And be ready to explain why you're choosing A over B or C, or why you're choosing C. They want some justification, so they're able to explain to their lawyers and their shareholders why they took that step. So on the back of this is a scenario we use in internal training. It's involving a tire recall. It's not real, we just use the names of these companies. But these are the kind of things we teach our people to do. And we do this at our staff meetings on Friday. We just did this about 4 weeks ago after the last crisis we managed, just to make sure people were up to speed on this. When we manage a crisis, we always take a second person along. It's me and one of our senior managers or one of our managers. And as I was telling the young women at dinner, in our office, all accounts are managed by one person with a backup. So there's always someone the client can call. There's always someone who knows what's going on involved in that client's activities, whether it's a crisis or whether it's a strategic plan or day-to-day activities like we do for the Department of Transportation. We manage drunk driving enforcement and seatbelt enforcement for CDOT, the State Department of Transportation. So there's a lot of people who work on CDOT in our office, but there's always two people who know what's going on with the CDOT account. You do that, so you've got bench strength. You've also got somebody with a different viewpoint who can step in and help you. In our agency, many of our managers are 35 and under, so they have the social media skills and they know how to get that done. Another interesting thing about our agency, and remember I said you can't make a living off a crisis, clients do count on you. We have two clients that we are on 24-hour call for. One is the State Department of Transportation. Now, CDOT has a great public information office. They've got people who deal with safety, people who deal with construction all over the state. They're divided by regions. Stacy Stegman, who's our client at CDOT, you see on TV all the time. You're on the radio at 6 in the morning. But when CDOT has a big event going down, whether it's a mudslide or a rockfall in Glenwood Canyon, we get the call also to back up their people. So we're on call for CDOT. We're also on call for a national retirement chain community based in Chicago, but they have 15 installations around the country in 11 states. Now you say, what can go on in a retirement community? Well, let's see. Norwalk virus, resident suicide, embezzlement, food-related illness, fires, evacuation drills, bad state inspections. All those have happened within the past couple of years. So we rotate in our office. I'm on call this month. John Hall is on call next month. We rotate taking the calls. This retirement chain has a national senior vice president of communications. But she is drawn in so many different directions that crisis was eating up about 30% of her time. And so last year she said to us, I'm losing so much time and sleep dealing with these crises. We'd handled about 6 of them for her. She said, would you guys take it over? You know our system, you know who the people are, you know our installations, you know how we think. And so now we actually manage the crisis response, and all we do is text our client so she knows something is going on. We text their general counsel, and then they know they're involved. The site managers, whether it's Connecticut, Grand Rapids, Phoenix, call us directly. It rings into a special phone in our office, rolls to my cell phone this month. So if I happen to see a 602 number pop up that I'm not familiar with, I may think, holy bones, you know, here's somebody from Phoenix from that installation and they've got a problem. That helps them because they know that they've got immediate response. It helps us because it improves our crisis experience. And what's the whole goal of an agency? The goal of an agency is to serve your client, to make your client's problems go away, to make your client's reputation solid. And that's why we do crisis response. Okay, so at that point I'm going to stop. We're going to throw Sarah Gianti up here for 10 minutes to tell you about her real life experience in a PR agency. 5 months ago she was one of you, and she can tell about what her life has been like sitting at the desk of Web PR.